They thought you were weak. They looked at your silence, your stillness, your struggle, and they mistook it for defeat. They couldn't see what was happening behind the veil. They couldn't feel the pressure of divine hands shaping you in the shadows. You weren't being abandoned, you were being trained. You weren't being punished, you were being prepared. Heaven was working in the quiet, and while they saw nothing moving, everything inside you was being remade. Because when God chooses to train someone, He often hides them. He pulls them away from the noise, from the applause, from the validation of men, and into the silence where only His voice can be heard. It is in that silence that the weak are strengthened, the wounded are healed, and the ordinary become unstoppable. You see, the silence isn't a prison, it's a classroom. It's where your spirit learns to hear without words, to see without sight, to move without permission. So don't despise the seasons when no one calls your name. Don't curse the nights when your prayers echo with no reply. The silence is not God's rejection, it's His instruction. He's teaching you how to stand when no one claps, how to believe when nothing moves, how to fight when no one sees the battle. They thought you were finished, but God was just getting started. They thought you were weak, but heaven was making you unbreakable. They say that when God is silent, He is absent. They say that when life seems still, nothing is happening. But what if that is the greatest deception of all? What if the quiet moments, the seasons when nothing seems to move, are the very moments when God is working the most? The silence of God is not His absence. It is not a sign that He has turned away or that your prayers have gone unheard. No, it is His preparation ground. It is the space where He molds, shapes, and strengthens what the world cannot see. It is the secret place where destiny is forged, where faith is tested, and where the seemingly weak are being made unstoppable. Have you ever noticed how the most significant breakthroughs often come after the longest waits? How the strongest leaders, the boldest warriors, and the wisest souls often speak of seasons of silence, of waiting, of invisible work. That is because God does His greatest work in the quiet. He removes the noise, the applause, the distractions of the world, so that your heart can hear His voice clearly. He does not hurry the process because the preparation takes time. He does not expose you to the stage before you are ready, because every great purpose requires a foundation that cannot be rushed. The silence you feel, the stillness that frustrates you, is not the absence of God. It is the classroom where He is teaching you how to stand, how to endure, and how to trust in ways that only those who have been refined can understand. Think about the strongest steel. It is not forged in comfort or ease. It is not formed under gentle heat or in a quiet room. It is hammered, it is pressed, it is exposed to fire and pressure, and only then does it become unbreakable. So it is with the spirit, the mind, and the heart. The silence is the furnace. The waiting is the hammer. The seasons of apparent emptiness are the fires of preparation. You may feel weak. You may feel alone. You may feel as if nothing is happening. But every moment, every breath, every tear is being counted, and every one is building something within you that the world cannot yet measure. It is also in the silence that faith grows stronger. Faith is not faith when it is easy. Faith is not tested when life gives you applause and success. Faith is born in the shadows, in the quiet, in the moments when the world cannot see, and even you cannot see what God is doing. That is the beauty of His silence. It strips away the reliance on human validation, on the reactions of others, and calls you to trust Him completely. It is a trust that does not depend on what you see, on what you hear, or on what others say. It is a trust rooted in the invisible hand of God working, even when everything seems still. Many of us stumble in these moments because we cannot see. We are impatient. We measure success by signs and signals, by applause and attention. But God does not measure His work by the eyes of the world. He measures it by what is being formed within you, by the character He is building, by the strength He is instilling. The silence is His workshop. It is where skills are honed, where patience is tested, where courage is cultivated. It is where the weak learn endurance, where the fearful learn bravery, and where the ordinary are transformed into something extraordinary. Sometimes the silence feels unbearable. Sometimes it feels like nothing is happening at all. You may cry out asking, God, are you there? Why is it so quiet? And the truth is, He is there. He has been there all along. His hands are on you even when you cannot feel them. His eyes are upon you even when the world ignores you. And while others mistake your waiting for failure, God is quietly preparing you for victory, for purpose, for destiny. The silence is not the absence of power. It is the presence of preparation. Remember the times in Scripture when God appeared silent before the miracle, before the deliverance, before the shift. Joseph was in prison. David was hiding. Esther's people were waiting. And in each of these moments, the silence was not emptiness. It was God training, God shaping, God equipping. The invisible work of God is often far greater than anything we can see with our eyes. The waiting, the stillness, the hidden struggle, these are the seeds of greatness that no human can replicate. So when you find yourself in a season where nothing seems to move, when the world laughs or doubts, when your heart grows weary, remember this, the silence is not absence. The silence is preparation. The stillness is sacred. The hidden work is shaping you for a purpose so great, so profound, that no one can yet comprehend it. God is not gone. He is not ignoring you. He is quietly, invisibly, powerfully, and intentionally working in the secret place. The silence is His classroom, His forge, His training ground, and when the time comes, you will rise not by chance, not by luck, but by the hidden hands of God that have been at work all along, in the silence, in the stillness, in the preparation. The world looks at you and sees weakness. They see your struggle, your doubts, your moments of hesitation, and they whisper, she can't do it. He will never make it. This is too much. They see the late nights, the unanswered prayers, the silent tears, and they mistake all of it for failure. They see the times you fall, the times you stumble, the times you are unsure, and they call it weakness. But what they cannot see, what the world cannot understand, is that this is not weakness. This is God at work. This is strength being built in secret. This is preparation for something far greater than they could ever imagine. Strength is not born in the spotlight. It is not formed when the world is watching and applauding. Strength is forged in the hidden moments when no one is looking, in the quiet battles that leave no scars on the surface but change everything inside. It is molded in the moments when you feel like you cannot go on, when you feel small, powerless, unseen. That is where the real work happens, not in the eyes of the world, but in the chambers of the soul. What looks like weakness to others is actually the most powerful form of divine training. What looks like struggle to the eye is actually endurance being planted. What looks like hesitation is discernment being developed. Every great story, every hero, every leader, every person who has left a mark on the world went through this hidden season. Joseph in the pit, David hiding from Saul, Moses in the desert, Esther waiting in obscurity. All of them were misunderstood by those around them. The world looked at them and saw weakness. God saw something entirely different. God saw potential. God saw the shaping of character. God saw strength being built quietly, invisibly, in places where human eyes could not detect it. It is easy to feel discouraged when people underestimate you. It is easy to let their doubts define your worth. But let me tell you this, the opinions of others are not the measure of your destiny. The world cannot define what God is building. Every time someone doubts you, laughs at you, or assumes you are weak, it is a sign that God is at work, quietly, in secret, preparing you for the very moment when the world will be forced to see your strength. The stronger you become, the louder the silence of their disbelief will speak when you rise. Consider the seed buried in the soil. To the naked eye, it is lifeless. It appears small, fragile, insignificant. Yet, beneath the surface, unseen, a miracle is unfolding. Roots stretch downward, seeking sustenance. A stem begins to push upward, breaking through layers of dirt. The seedling fights against the weight of the earth, unseen and unknown, until the moment comes when it bursts forth into the light, fully formed, strong, and alive. So it is with the strength that is built in secret. It may not be visible to those around you. It may not make sense to you sometimes. But it is growing, it is rising, it is being forged. Unseen, so that when the time comes, it will emerge with a force that cannot be ignored. Your moments of doubt, your struggles, your trials, your fears, these are not signs of weakness. They are the furnace in which strength is made. They are the invisible training grounds where endurance is forged. They are the hidden rehearsals before the performance of a lifetime. When you feel powerless, that is when power is being implanted within you. When you feel small, that is when greatness is quietly growing. When you feel unsure, that is when clarity is being formed. What the world sees as weakness is God's secret strength being developed. It is also in these moments that humility is cultivated. Strength built in secret is not prideful, not boastful, not dependent on applause or validation. It is authentic. It is resilient. It is grounded in the truth of who you are, not in the opinions of others. When strength is formed in private, it carries with it a quiet confidence, an unshakable courage, a wisdom that comes from surviving the unseen battles and knowing deep down that you were never alone. So, when the world whispers that you are weak, smile quietly and continue. Keep showing up in the hidden places. Keep fighting the unseen battles. Keep building the invisible muscles of endurance, faith, patience, and courage. What they see as weakness is, in reality, the preparation for a life that will stand firm, rise higher, and shine brighter than they ever imagined. The world may never understand it while it is happening. They may never see the work that God is doing behind the scenes. But when the time comes, when the breakthrough appears, when your moment of triumph arrives, the world will finally see what was there all along, the strength that was being built in secret, the power that was quietly formed, the victory that was always destined. And in that moment, you will know that every tear, every trial, every silent struggle, every misunderstood weakness was never wasted. It was the preparation. It was the secret training. It was God building something in you that no one else could build, shaping you for a purpose only He could ordain. What the world thought was weakness, what they ridiculed, what they doubted, will become the very evidence of God's power, His preparation, and His plan. There are moments in life when nothing seems to make sense. Seasons when you feel invisible, unheard, and overlooked. You give your best. You pour your heart into your work, your relationships, your dreams, and yet it feels as if the world does not notice. You wonder if God has forgotten you, if your efforts are in vain, if the waiting will ever end. But what you fail to realize is that every hidden season, every moment of obscurity, every chapter that feels silent and still is a divine training camp for your calling. It is in the quiet, unseen, and often misunderstood moments that God is shaping you for the very destiny you have been waiting for. The world measures progress by what can be seen. Promotions, recognition, applause, and status are what people call success. But God's training camp does not operate on human schedules. It does not rely on visibility or validation. It works in the shadows. It works in the unseen. It works when no one is watching. Every struggle, every challenge, every time you feel like you are at your breaking point, it is a part of the divine curriculum. God is training you. He is preparing you for the purpose that only He can assign. What looks like waiting, stagnation, or defeat is actually growth, development, and preparation at a level the human eye cannot comprehend. Think about the seasons of nature. Seeds do not bloom the moment they are planted. They are buried, hidden beneath the soil. For months, sometimes years, they lie in darkness, absorbing nutrients, developing roots, strengthening in ways that are invisible. And then, when the time is right, they emerge, fully equipped to stand to grow and to flourish. That is exactly how God works in hidden seasons. You may feel buried under trials, setbacks, or silence, but beneath the surface, your faith, character, and resilience are being nourished. Every hardship is a nutrient. Every tear is a lesson. Every lonely night is a reinforcement for your purpose. In these hidden seasons, God also teaches you endurance. The world rarely sees the patient soul, the quiet warrior, the person who continues to press forward despite discouragement. These are the people God equips for his greatest purposes. You may feel that your efforts go unnoticed, but endurance is not built in applause. It is built in persistence. It is forged when your heart says, "I will keep going," even when the world says, "Give up." Every hidden season is a classroom where endurance, patience, and trust are being developed. It is the divine training ground where your spirit is prepared for challenges you cannot yet face, but will one day conquer. Hidden seasons are also where humility is refined. When you are unseen, you are not acting for recognition or fame. You are not performing for an audience. You are acting for the one who sees everything. Humility allows your heart to remain teachable, your mind to remain open, and your spirit to remain soft even as you grow stronger. It teaches you to value God's timing over human timing, his wisdom over human opinion, his plan over human expectation. These are lessons that cannot be learned in the spotlight, in success, or in applause. They are learned in silence, in struggle, in the hidden places of life where God trains his champions. Sometimes hidden seasons feel lonely. Sometimes they feel unfair. Sometimes they feel endless. But the truth is, God is not absent. He is never absent. He is orchestrating every detail, arranging every challenge, and guiding every step. He is preparing you in ways you cannot see and in ways the world cannot understand. He is building your strength, sharpening your focus, and shaping your character. Every delay, every obstacle, every quiet moment is intentional. Every hidden season has a divine purpose to prepare you to walk into your calling with confidence, skill, and courage. Consider the life of those who fulfilled their destinies in ways that changed history. Joseph was imprisoned for years, yet those years were the preparation for a purpose greater than his imagination. Moses wandered in the wilderness seemingly alone, but those years equipped him to lead a nation. Esther waited in the shadows, unseen, yet her hidden season was the moment of preparation that would determine the fate of her people. God uses hidden seasons to prepare ordinary people for extraordinary purposes. And he does the same with you. You may not see the end yet. You may not see the breakthrough. You may not understand why you are still in the quiet place. But that does not mean nothing is happening. God is writing, shaping, and molding your story behind the scenes. He is building the skills, the wisdom, and the courage you will need for your calling. Every challenge you face, every disappointment you endure, every silent night of prayer is part of the divine training ground that is equipping you to rise when the time is right. So do not despise the hidden seasons. Do not resent the waiting or the silence. Embrace them. Trust that what you cannot see is still being built. Believe that what feels invisible is still powerful. Know that the hardships you endure, the delays you face, and the obscurity you experience are all part of a divine plan that is bigger than you, greater than you, and designed perfectly for you. Every hidden season is a divine training camp preparing you for a life, a purpose, and a calling that will one day be revealed in ways that will astonish the world. There is a misconception that strength, courage, and greatness are formed in the spotlight, that warriors are made in the eyes of the world, that the ones who are seen are the ones who are prepared. But the truth is far different. The hands of God mold his warriors in quiet places. He works where no one is watching. He trains in the shadows, shapes in obscurity, and strengthens in silence. Before any victory, before any breakthrough, before any battle is fought or won, there is a hidden season where God is working behind the scenes, carefully and deliberately preparing those he has chosen. Many fail to understand this process because it is not visible to the human eye. They see struggle and call it failure. They see isolation and call it rejection. They see waiting and call it loss. But the divine perspective is different. God sees what we cannot see. He knows that before a warrior can stand firm in the storms of life, before a leader can guide a people, before a prophet can speak truth that changes hearts, there must be preparation. And this preparation often happens in quiet places. It is not glamorous. It is not public. It is not recognized. Yet it is where the greatest work occurs. Consider the analogy of a blacksmith at the forge. The metal begins as raw and rough, unshaped, unformed, and vulnerable. The blacksmith heats it, hammers it, bends it, and shapes it with precision and intention. The process is harsh, uncomfortable, and hidden from view. Yet through this fire and pressure, the metal becomes strong, resilient, and unbreakable. So it is with God's warriors. He uses life's fires, the hammering of trials, the pressure of adversity, and the quiet moments of testing to shape those he has called. What feels like pain or struggle is actually preparation for strength, for endurance, for the battles ahead. Quiet places are where character is built. It is easy to be courageous when surrounded by applause and support. It is easy to lead when everyone is watching and following. But true warriors are tested in the moments when no one else is present. The quiet, the isolation, the stillness, these are the training grounds where patience, discipline, faith, and resilience are forged. It is where warriors learn to trust without validation, to fight without spectators, to rise without recognition. God's hands are at work, molding, shaping, and refining, even when the world cannot see the progress being made. Many people fear quiet seasons because they mistake them for abandonment or failure. They become anxious when they are unseen, unheard, or unrecognized. But quiet places are not punishment. They are preparation. They are workshops of the soul where the seeds of victory are planted and nurtured. Every challenge you endure in silence, every lesson learned in private, every setback that feels like a loss is actually a tool God uses to prepare you for the battles to come. The warrior that emerges from the quiet is stronger, wiser, and more capable than the world could have ever imagined. Think of biblical stories where God's warriors were prepared in solitude and trial. David was anointed king as a young shepherd, but before he sat on the throne, he spent years in the fields, tending sheep, facing lions, and surviving the threats of King Saul. Moses was called to lead a nation, but he spent decades in the wilderness learning obedience, patience, and dependence on God. Even Jesus spent years in relative obscurity, growing, learning, and preparing for the ministry that would change the world. In every case, the quiet seasons were the workshops where warriors were made, where purpose was solidified, and where strength was hidden until the time of revelation. The quiet places also teach warriors humility. Strength is not fully realized until it is coupled with wisdom, patience, and understanding. God uses these hidden seasons to remove pride, arrogance, and dependence on human validation. He teaches his warriors to rely not on applause, not on approval, not on recognition, but on his guidance, his timing, and his power. The hands that mold are intentional. They are precise. They know exactly what is needed for the battles ahead. And they will not reveal the work too early, for if a warrior is exposed before they are ready, they may falter, fail, or be broken. So do not despise quiet seasons. Do not fear solitude or isolation. Do not see silence as absence or weakness. God is present in the stillness, working, shaping, and preparing. Every trial, every delay, every moment of waiting is a part of the divine crafting of a warrior. The hands of God are always at work, unseen, patient, intentional, and powerful. And when the time comes, when the battle begins, the warrior who has been molded in silence will stand firm, unshakable, and victorious, revealing the strength that was quietly built in preparation for the moment of triumph. The world may never see the making of the warrior, the refining of the soul, the shaping of destiny. They may not understand the pain, the trials, or the hidden lessons. But God sees it all. He orchestrates it all. And when the time comes, the quiet labor, the unseen molding, the private preparation will emerge in power, in courage, and in victory. The hands that worked in secrecy will be revealed in triumph, and the warrior who was once hidden will now stand as a testimony of God's perfect timing, wisdom, and love. There is a cruel irony in life. The very moments when others laugh at you, doubt you, or mock you are often the moments when God is at work most powerfully in your life. Mockery, ridicule, and scorn are not signs that you are failing or that your purpose is impossible. On the contrary, these moments often signal that something extraordinary is being formed within you. They are the markers of a process that the world cannot see. The proof that God is preparing you for a destiny far beyond what anyone else imagines. When people mock, they are often seeing only the surface. They see the struggle, the beginning stages, the process, and they cannot recognize the hidden strength, the unseen preparation, and the divine work that is taking place. They may laugh at your efforts, dismiss your vision, or belittle your dreams because they cannot perceive the future that God is shaping. They are measuring today by what they see, and today cannot comprehend what is being formed in secret. This is why the mockery of others can be a signal that you are walking a path that is extraordinary, that your life is being prepared for impact, influence, and victory. Think about the heroes of history, the leaders, the innovators, the visionaries who changed the course of nations and inspired generations. Every one of them faced mockery. They were underestimated, dismissed, and ridiculed by those who could not see their potential. Joseph was mocked by his brothers and imprisoned unjustly, yet he rose to a position of unimaginable power. David was laughed at by Goliath and dismissed by Saul, yet he became the king who would lead Israel. Esther faced ridicule and doubt, yet she became the savior of her people. These stories are not exceptions. They are patterns. Mockery often comes when greatness is being prepared. It is the world's attempt to limit what God is about to expand. Mockery also tests your faith, resilience, and determination. It exposes where your trust truly lies, whether in the opinions of men or in the guidance of God. When the world mocks, it challenges you to stand firm, to believe without validation, and to continue moving forward when others would stop. It is in these moments that character is built, courage is cultivated, and persistence is reinforced. The laughter of others is uncomfortable, yes, but it is also revealing. It shows you where you are growing in strength, where you are being refined, and where God's hand is evident even if no one else can see it. Often, those who mock are blind to the process of preparation. They do not understand that extraordinary results are not instant. They do not realize that God often works in hidden, gradual, and invisible ways to prepare someone for a purpose that is larger than anyone can comprehend. Your vision, your calling, your unique gifts are being developed quietly, steadily, and intentionally. The ridicule is not a reflection of your failure. It is often a reflection of their inability to see what God is doing in you. The more extraordinary the calling, the more pronounced the mockery may seem, because greatness often makes the ordinary uncomfortable. It is also in the face of mockery that humility and patience are cultivated. God uses these moments to teach you that true greatness does not rely on applause or approval. The laughter of others cannot dictate your worth, your purpose, or your progress. Instead, it strengthens your reliance on God, deepens your humility, and trains you to walk faithfully in the face of opposition. These are lessons that cannot be taught in comfort or celebration. They are lessons learned in adversity, in rejection, in the quiet humiliation that precedes triumph. Consider the invisible work happening while you endure mockery. While others are laughing, God is quietly refining your gifts, sharpening your skills, strengthening your spirit, and preparing you for a destiny that will astonish the world. What seems like ridicule is, in fact, a signal that you are on the path to something remarkable. It is the precursor to revelation. It is the sign that the process of preparation is real and that your breakthrough is closer than you realize. Those who mocked you will not recognize your emergence, but their disbelief is no obstacle to God's power. Mockery also forces you to focus on what is eternal rather than what is temporary. When the world laughs, it is easy to be distracted by shame, embarrassment, or doubt. But God is calling you to see beyond the temporary opinions of men. He is calling you to fix your eyes on His promises, His purpose, and His timing. The ridicule that seems unbearable now is merely a signpost, a sign that something extraordinary is in the making. It is the world's attempt to define you by what it sees, while God defines you by what He is shaping inside of you. Every time someone mocks you, every time they underestimate you, every time they laugh at your efforts or your dreams, remember this: God is at work. He is turning their scorn into your strength, their doubt into your determination, and their laughter into a signal of your coming triumph. The extraordinary is being made in you, quietly, persistently, and intentionally. The more the world ridicules, the more you should take heart, because these are often the moments that mark the making of a life, a purpose, and a legacy that cannot be contained or ignored.